What's going on, people? Welcome to another Toronto Hoop Talk live stream. Today we got quarterfinals to talk about. Nothing but elimination games from this point onwards. So it's going to be an exciting stream. We got 4 games to talk about before we get started. Shout out to everybody that's watching live right now, 6 people. Shout out to everybody who might watch this on replay after the fact. Your viewership and engagement is definitely appreciated. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. 2 very important forms of engagement for the growth of a YouTube channel. With that done now, we got games to talk about. We got these 2 games on one side of the bracket. We got the scary ass US on the other side of the bracket. And like always, whenever we talk about these games, I bring some friends with me. So I got Nico tapping.
Yo, it's good.
Oh man. So here's the thing. I didn't know how I wanted to approach this stream. I didn't know if like I wanted to just talk about the games or if I wanted to talk about the group,
Mm,
like each of the groups. Because I feel like on one hand, right, when you talk about Greece, you kind of have to talk about like Canada and Australia, right? Like
yeah.
we got a lot of the games being played. But before we get into it, man, any brief comments on Puerto Rico?
Man, just clear cut and abhorrent disappointment.
Damn,
Absolute disappointment.
damn.
They just fell flat on their face. I feel like in half of their games they commanded the first half and they just absolutely lost it. That game against South Sudan was an absolute heartbreaker because if we would have won that game, we would have qualified for sure.
Yeah.
But you can't really take that as an excuse. They just straight up underperformed. I feel like they had all their games. They had very decently strong halves and absolutely choked everything. So yeah, it was just a disappointing game.
Yeah, no, I mean, the thing is like you look at the stats, I feel like the stats look really, really harsh because you have to consider the fact that they were in the same group as the US and Serbia. That really doesn't put you in a good position. And I think they played Serbia in the second game off of Serbia's loss to the US, right?
Oh,
Yeah, it was the
yeah,
second
yeah,
game. So they got an angry Serbia, right? Then they had got the US
yeah,
to
yeah.
finish things off. So
It was just
that was
bad.
rough. It is what it is. I think they were minus 73, and you look at that and you're like, nah, they
Yeah.
didn't deserve that.
Yeah, funnily enough, I think we won every first quarter except against Serbia.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
That's
we were
crazy.
we were
So
up against the U.S. after the first quarter, and then they woke up. The beast Anthony Edwards just took over. It was it was tough. It really was, and yeah,
yeah, it's a
it was
real
just
tough
terrible.
spot they found themselves in that group. But yeah, we got an interesting quarterfinals setup. I think the first matchup we should talk about. We can just talk about the games in order. So we got France against Canada. I think this is the most interesting quarterfinal when it comes to like the upset
Upset factor.
potential. But I think the first place to start with this matchup is Canada, and in terms of how they looked in the group, right? What I said was that Group A, was the group of death, but it's the group of death because of us. Like
Absolutely.
we brought a whole lot of that. We brought a whole lot of the talent to make it really that stacked of a group. And look, we beat everybody. I wouldn't say we just smacked everybody around because that's definitely not the truth. Each team put up a good fight. And if you can look at the rest of the group, right? I think it was like a rock paper scissors thing. Like every team beat the other team, and it kind of went in a circle. So like it was a
Yeah.
pretty even group in terms of like Australia, Greece, and Spain. But the
Mm-hmm.
thing is like they were on one level and Canada was just on another.
Ah,
As for
absolutely.
Canada moving forward, right? You saw a lot of good things. You saw a lot of things that should be encouraging. So obviously, RJ Barrett was really, really impressive. Um, the defensive intensity in certain parts, like certain runs, was really, really good. But there also are concerns. I think the big one, obviously, is just like really big physical centers. Against Spain, they won. They got so many offensive rebounds. Obviously, against Greece, Giannis dominated, got
Mm-hmm.
34. Against Australia, Jock Landale had probably the best game of his life. So that's the thing. Like there is that one weak spot, and then the other weak spot is the bench. The bench is just they're in a really tough spot where there's no cohesion offensively. Nobody's really used to playing with Jamal Murray on the court. He hasn't really been a part of the program like that because of whether it's an injury or something personal or
Yeah,
a
he's kind of
contract
new.
situation going on. Nemhard, I think, is fairly new to the group as well. And then the bigs off the bench are what Olenek, and usually insert another big like here,
Birch.
whether it's Kem Birch or somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of it's a disjointed lineup. So offensively, they never really were able to get it going. And a part of that is because everybody's kind of looking at Jamal Murray like, well, we know how good he is, and we know we have to get him integrated, and we know we would gain a lot if that happened. But you're not really playing good basketball if you're kind of just like looking at Jamal Murray and looking for him to start cooking. And because he's not really in a rhythm, he's not really cooking either. So it's just offensively, it was kind of a mess for that reason. And then defensively, you put Olenek, Jamal Murray, and Nemhard on the court together. Oh my goodness, it was ugly. Like you're talking about, other teams are getting open threes, shots at the basket. It just the bench. The bench was a difficult it was difficult to watch the bench. I think particularly against Australia and Greece. I think the games were pretty like pretty. It was pretty clear to see what was happening. The starters were
Yeah.
getting the lead. The bench was giving it back. The starters were getting it back, and then the bench was giving it back again. All our games were kind of competitive games down to um, at least the last 2 minutes. I think the Australian game was over before that, but every game was competitive to the end because of our issue at the center position and our issue with the
Yeah.
bench. So those are the two things to watch for. Now, when you talk about a team like a France, right? They obviously have Gobert and Wemby. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if Gobert's necessarily the kind of player that's going to punish our problems at
Yeah.
this center, aside from getting rebounds. But I don't think he's going to punish us in terms of getting baskets. And then when it comes to Wemby, the thing is that Wemby isn't the kind of player that I think Canada really struggles against. Not to say that they won't do anything, or that Wemby won't do anything, but the point is like it's the physicality that guys really struggle with, right? Like a
Yeah.
Dwight Powell can come in and he can kind of hang with guys that are smaller and a little bit more mobile. But when there's a big physical center, that's where the problem happens. So
Yeah, that's
I think
true.
he's going to do good things because Wemby just does good things. But it's not going to be as difficult as it was with, again, more physical players like Giannis or Willie Hernan Gomez or Jock Landale, um, guys who have a lot more muscle. So it's
Yeah.
interesting. I think with France particularly, I saw how they played against Canada last year. I think Canada beat them by like 20 plus. It was one of our more convincing wins in the FIBA. I
Yeah.
think they're basically the same team plus Wemby. So I think with this matchup, when you saw France in the group play, it was kind of similar. To me, they just look like last year's French team. Plus, you add one player, and that one player is very good. But that one player has can only do so much, especially in this kind of a context. So I think honestly, I think Canada will find themselves in a similar game to the rest of the games they've played so far. I don't think they're going to blow France out. I think they're definitely going to get the win. But I don't think they'll be up 20 like they were last year. I think they'll probably win by 10, 11 points. It'll probably be a close game within the last 5 minutes. We'll pull it out
Yeah.
in the end. But that's the kind of game I expect. What do you think?
Yeah, I think with France, the thing is, if
Your audio's a little bit low, I think.
oh, let me see. How about now?
That's it?
All right. So with
Yeah, it's good.
France, yeah, the thing is with France, I'm like looking at some of the games and looking at how they play. If you shut down Wembanyama, that team has nothing else for
No,
to answer for. Evan
no.
Fournier has been lackluster to say the least. He's been shooting 32% from the field. And like you could consider Batum another option, but he's shooting 42% from the field, which a guy from his position and the shots he takes are is just not that good. So when you have Wembanyama leading you in every single statistical category,
Yeah.
except I think blocks, maybe, yeah, except blocks, you kind of have a big problem
Oh yeah.
because Wembanyama, of course, he is the Almighty, but he can be shut down, and like you don't need such a big effort to completely focus on shutting him down, and I think that's what's going to hinder France in this game, and that's what kind of hindered them in other games as well. If Wembanyama's not on his game, it's really, I'm not going to say easy, but it can be quite simple how teams have tackled France. So I don't know. Personally, I don't know if this game is going to be that close as we think.
Yeah.
but France could put up a fight. I just don't think they have enough with Canada's momentum and just chemistry.
And the thing you have to consider with Canada is that like the expectation is that Jamal Murray is going to be better as the tournament goes on.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's not a guarantee by any means, but the expectation is that the performance he gives us against France should be better than any of the group stage performances. Then hopefully in the semis it's better than against France, right? So I think that's the kind of thing we saw Andrew Nemhard have his first big game against Spain. If Jamal Murray shows up and it's his turn, it's going to be a
It's
problem for
difficult.
France. Obviously, it looked pretty simple for Germany against France.
Mm-hmm.
Japan, frankly, what Japan blew a 4 point lead in the last 10 seconds.
Yeah,
So look, France got kind of lucky with that. I definitely
absolutely.
see Canada taking this W, um, and it should set up a pretty awesome semifinal matchup because the other quarterfinal you got Germany and Greece. So you got Giannis. Um, to be honest, the only game I saw was the game against Canada for him,
Okay.
and what I saw was that obviously Giannis is Giannis. I think he scored 34.
Mm-hmm.
But yo, those Greek guards, those guards, it's a struggle, right? Their strength as a team is in their like
It's
bigger
Giannis.
players. When it comes to kicking it to the shooters, it did not look good. When it
Yeah.
came to their guards guarding our guards, and obviously our guards are a difficult matchup, but
Mm-hmm.
it really looks like Greece is a one man show in terms of Giannis, but also like
Yeah.
a one trick pony in terms of like you know it's their players with size that are going to do the damage. So
Absolutely.
I think they're a team that's too one dimensional against a team like Germany. Germany has looked um, as advertised in this tournament so far.
They have
Obviously, I
everything.
think against Japan and the other team in their group, I forget who else was in their group. Brazil?
Brazil, yeah, Brazil.
Yeah, against Japan and Brazil, you expect that for sure. But against France, they made it look routine as well. So I
Mm-hmm.
think Germany is on a run. I don't think they lost in FIBA, and they
They
haven't
have
lost
not.
yet in the Olympics. They're on a crazy win run, a win streak. But I expect it to continue. I think
Yeah.
just Greece just doesn't have enough.
Yeah, and with the thing with Germany is they're just shooting the lights out. Honestly,
Yep.
like you have, let me see, they have like at least 6 players shooting above 50% from the field, and they're all like shooter type players. They're all movement players.
Yep.
So again, like as we said in like the prelude to this, they have everything a team could need in a tournament like this that makes them just absolutely dangerous. For a team like they're by far not a one-dimensional team. They can
Yep.
score from anywhere, they can play make, they can defend, and they play
Yep.
hard. That's probably the biggest factor of them. They have those key hustle guys that you need. So I really can't see Greece yanking this one out. They don't have the weapons to do so. They do get good open looks at the rim. I don't know how when you have a team led by Giannis, but they
Yeah.
somehow manage to get good looks at the rim. The problem is they miss a lot.
Yep.
So they gotta find a way to get those open looks and actually make them at the rim if they want to do any type of damage. But I think again, this is a game that is gonna have to be easily controlled by Germany. Honestly, I don't think they can put the biggest fight, and I think this might be a side like if they do pass, but Canada should be very worried for a team like this. It's just again they're the champs and they've been here before, so you can't really game plan simply for these people. You have to really lock in.
And the thing too about Canada, Germany, I don't want to get too much into potential semifinal looks because the semifinals are almost so predictable. If you talk too
Yeah.
much about it here, you'll have next to nothing to talk about when the semifinals actually come around. But
Yeah.
the thing is like Germany and Canada, we didn't get that match in the actual FIBA tournament, but I
Mm-hmm.
think we got it twice in friendlies before the FIBA, at least once. There was a random team Canada played twice. I don't think it was Germany, but I know Canada didn't beat Germany at all. I think
Mm.
Germany had a pretty easy time. And yeah, that was early in Canada's
Of course.
window of playing together as these players. But yeah, man, Germany's been good for a minute. They've been on a roll. They have a lot of continuity. They have obviously their coaching staff is familiar with their players and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Franz Wagner. When you have a one of your more important players that's on the up as a player, you know that it's
Absolutely.
international ball, so you're not going to be making any crazy free agent acquisitions, but you have a way of getting better as a team from that one player getting better. So Germany, again, like they're a team that's on the up, um,
Hmm.
really well rounded for now, and that semifinal matchup will be something special.
Absolutely.
Um, Now to put us on the other side of the bracket, Brazil US. It's probably going to be a baptism. I
Hey, it is, but Bruno Caboclo's gonna score 35 points.
Would you think who do you think is going to score more, Bruno Caboclo or the American Bruno Caboclo?
Oh, it's gonna be the real Bruno,
The real Bruno.
the real
Okay, okay,
Bruno.
okay.
I got the real Bruno lighting KD up. Masai's gonna be watching. I know he's watching. I know he's sitting there
Masai's
on
going
his
to be
couch.
courtside at the game.
Absolutely. He
Um,
gonna be like screaming at his TV like, "I told you, I told you."
but yeah, I think Brazil is obviously in the quarterfinals. I think from they qualified as a third place team, right?
Hmm.
Because yeah, it was Germany and France in that group. Yeah, I think they were probably literally like the eighth seed, right? Like they got in because
Yeah, they got kind of lucky. I'm not gonna
yeah,
lie.
100%. No, to be honest, it's just the fact that like it was like the group of death. Everybody just beat the shit out of each other, and then in Group
Yeah.
C, America and Serbia beat the shit out of everybody else. So like
Hmm.
honestly, third place in that B group was probably gonna get it done. It was down to them
Yeah.
in Japan, and yeah, they got it done. Shout out to I think his name is Malzinha who dunked on Rudy Gobert, that alley oop.
Oh yeah, someone did dunk on Rudy.
Bro, it was
I
amazing.
forgot.
He
Yeah.
got so gassed too. Like he was celebrating. Do you remember Pat Bev and Anthony Edwards celebrating the play-in?
Yeah,
He
he
was
was like
celebrating
that.
like that mid-game after postering Rudy Gobert, and then on the free throw for the and one, he airballed the free throw, and I was just like, "Yo, this is a roller coaster of emotions."
That's funny.
Um,
Oh my goodness. I mean, that's the highlight of his career right there.
100%. And the
Yeah.
end of that roller coaster for Brazil is definitely going to be this game.
Yeah, I think.
USA punches their ticket to the semifinals,
Hmm.
and the
Yeah,
thing is like that leaves us with the last quarterfinal matchup. We got Serbia and Australia.
it's probably gonna be the most interesting match.
Yeah. So with Australia, right? We saw them in the group of death. Obviously, that's the other teams to qualify. Everybody finished 1-1 aside from Canada, and they all had actually similar point differentials. But
Hmm.
from what I saw from Australia, is they actually have a deeper team than most people would give them credit for. They have a handful of guys that can score. Um, they got a team that I don't think I understood where like who would have the ball and how that would work. But Patty Mills is actually doing pretty okay
Yeah,
without
Patty
having the
Mills is
ball that
leading the
much.
charge. Kinda.
Um, Dyson Daniels is chilling. Um, and yeah, honestly, Giddy gets the ball a lot. And bro, he was hooping in the first half against Canada. He honestly had the best game I've ever seen
Yeah.
him have. It took Lou Dort getting put on him for that shit to get shut down. But man, he looks solid.
Yeah.
Um,
Bulls fans got to be excited now.
100%. That completely changes the outlook on that deal.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this matchup turns out. I think I know what to expect
Yeah.
from Australia. Um,
I mean, in
but
terms of Serbia, it really is the 1-2 punch with Jokic and Bogdanovic. I was looking at here the like stats here, and Jokic has been like by far the most efficient player on the floor in the Olympics for
yeah,
any team. And then you got Bogdanovic averaging 19 points, but Jokic leading in every single other category. I mean, if Australia can somehow muster a way to shut him down, I guess you do have a chance. But looking at it now, I think it's they're gonna have to really work for this match if they want to win.
I think
Cause
working for it's one thing. I also think
yeah,
that Serbia also probably has to shoot terribly, like on their
absolutely.
own, right? Like not necessarily that Australia is gonna force that, but I think Serbia
Hmm.
is gonna have to just show up and shoot like shit. They shot really badly against the US
Hmm.
in their first game. That kind of shooting performance would have to happen again for Australia um,
Yeah.
to come through. But Yeah, I think in this matchup, the point that I find interesting from what I've seen with Serbia, it kind of doesn't feel like they're as Jokic dependent as you
No,
would
they're not.
think when
They're
they
very
play.
efficient.
They have a system that it feels like they run their system regardless,
Hmm.
right? Um, it, Obviously they played without Jokic last year in in the FIBA tournament. You saw how they played. They played really well. A lot of
Hmm.
different players got touches. A lot of different players shot the ball, and guys shot the ball well, right?
Yeah.
Um, Now that Jokic is back, I think especially the way Jokic plays on Denver, you think maybe he would just be a hub for everything. Um, Obviously he's not. They still play their same game. What I'm wondering is, um, would the potential for them to well, obviously it's not potential anymore. Their matchup will very likely be the US in the semis. They've
Yeah.
probably always known that the US was a possibility. Like, do you think they're keeping that in their back pocket for that big matchup? Like, we know we have to play the US in the group stage. There's a
Yeah.
decent chance we would have to play them in a medal matchup, right? If we're gonna if we're here's the thing, you're no, actually not probably, you're not gonna beat the States twice, right? So if you're
Yeah.
Serbia, you might look at it and be like, you know what, let's play our game against the US and let's hide it completely. And then when it's time to play US in a big matchup, and look, it's probably gonna happen. Do we think that they maybe unleash Jokic ball?
Now you see, that's not the first time something like this would happen.
Yeah,
I, I mean, coming from a team like this with so much experience,
yeah,
I think it would be a decent bet seeing the competition they had in Puerto Rico and South Sudan. So I think it would be a fair bet to be like, okay, let's play like 3/4 of our game and then like let's kick into the extra gear, see if maybe we win. So I don't know, maybe it might be a little more effort, maybe me might be crashing the offensive glass more,
yeah.
but it or just absolutely just playing through Jokic every single play. I don't know. But that is an interesting theory, and I would now I'm gonna pay close attention to see what they do,
I
because
thought
that'd
it
be
was
very
so
interesting.
fascinating how against the US, if you actually look at the stats, Jokic's plus minus was 0 and his team lost by 20 plus. Serbia played the US straight up when Jokic was on the court. And it wasn't even that many minutes. I think it was like 10 minutes with him off the court that they got outscored by 20.
Yeah,
So, um
I wonder if
that's the thing to watch for. Like when they play through Jokic, I'm quite sure that's a strategy that will lead to really good things for them. So
yeah.
with that being the case, I'm just wondering, like, was that something that they just kept hold on to, like a joker that they had the whole time
Yo,
that they're gonna play?
that would be Noah Lyles' wet dream right now. I'm not gonna lie.
No bullshit.
He's
Um,
like, your turn.
yeah, 100%. No, to be honest, it would be the funniest thing in the world if he shows up to all the U.S. games
Yeah, just to see if they lose. The pressure's on them now. That'd be hilarious,
courtside
honestly.
with his medals too.
Oh my god, yeah.
With the
See, I would
medals,
do that. He's better than me because I would do that.
I was
A
gonna
hundred
say,
percent.
if he doesn't do that, he's an upstanding gentleman.
Absolutely. He's better than all of
He,
us.
he's better than me. But
Yeah.
so here's the thing, right? With the outcomes we predicted, these are the strong favorites, right?
Yeah.
Strong favorites. The two potential underdogs are probably France and Australia, but even
Absolutely.
that, um,
I'm just a
strong
little
favorites, right?
concerned. Yeah.
And that sets up a final four of Canada, US, Germany, and Serbia. And for the people who watched the FIBA tournament last year, who were the final four teams? Those exact teams. Germany finished first, Serbia finished second, Canada finished third, US finished fourth. So it looks like we might have back to back major
Rematch.
tournaments in a 1 year span where the same four teams finish in the final four. And I just find that really interesting that it's shaping up to be like a top layer of international basketball right now.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at how those teams are compromised, or how they're made up, um, obviously a ton of NBA talent on the US and Canada, a chunk of NBA talent on Serbia. But if you really look at Serbia and Germany, bro, there's a lot of European talent there. Like that
Absolutely.
is Serbia and Germany are great examples of European talent playing European ball,
Mm-hmm.
playing professionally overseas, playing consistently with the same guys on the international team, and to be honest, being able to hang with the best teams because Obviously, we saw last year that Serbia and Germany they beat the Canadian and U.S. teams that got sent to that tournament, which obviously weren't full strength teams. But now when they go up against these full strength U.S. and Canadian teams, it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, most definitely. Hey, it's like the World Cup actually matters now. Finally, in world
Yep.
basketball,
Yep.
like the strongest teams are backing up their talk and they're showing up here and doing what they do. But to your point, like Germany only has four NBA players.
Yep.
If we look at it, like this is just it just goes to show how much like the whole overall like skill floor for players, basketball players around the world is it's gone up exponentially at least the last 10 years,
Yep.
truly speaking. So I'm just excited, honestly. Like I just want to see what type of games are produced because for now they all seem very predictable. I think
Yeah.
obviously Serbia Austria might be the closest. I just don't think Austria has scored enough points this tournament for me to be like, okay, this might be closer than I think. But aside from that, like I'm just happy to see that how far the talent has got on a world stage, because we still see the U.S. as this super dominant team,
Yeah.
but now it's not like okay, 10 out of 10 times they're gonna win. They might lose. Like they might actually be beatable again. The odds are heavily stacked against, but seeing the talent coming up now and the way these teams are actually playing, I see it way more feasible now. Like these tournaments are getting way more entertaining. The
Yeah.
basketball is like it's easier on the eye. I feel like 10 years ago watching an international tournament might have been a little crazy.
So
A
much
bunch of
defense. So
absolutely
much defense.
defense, meaning
Yep.
breaking shots.
Yep. Yep.
Like, so I'm just happy we're getting a way more palatable thing. I feel like a lot more people are like paying attention to these tournaments. For example, I don't think many people were paying attention to Rio or London for
No.
basketball. I'm not gonna lie.
It was just
So
when the U.S. played, or
exactly,
Spain, maybe U.S. or Spain.
yeah. So now like there's enough talent for us to really take this more seriously, as
Yep.
it deserves, and yeah, it's just box office, baby. It's just box office, to be honest. I'm just glad to be seeing everyone's stars showing out, everybody representing, and like everyone actually having hope of winning the thing.
And it's only gonna get better. Like that's the other
Absolutely.
thing you gotta think about. It's only gonna get better. The international talent pool is only gonna get stronger. The European leagues are only gonna get stronger. And like you mentioned about, I think you said Germany has 4 players. I think Serbia has what, 2 players, 3 players.
I'm checking right now. Serbia has. Let me see. They have one, two, three. I think 3 players.
3 players. Yeah, I'm looking at it
Three
now. Yeah,
players.
so they got Jovic, Bogdanovic, and
Jokic.
obviously Jokic.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, hold on. Mičić is on the Hornets. That's crazy.
Oh,
That's a
Mitic is there
crazy.
too.
That's a crazy locker room to put him in. That's
Absolutely.
that's a wild situation. But like, that's the thing too. When I watch Serbia and Germany, like the thing I enjoy about watching those teams is you learn about players.
Yeah.
Um, so like with Serbia particularly, the 2 players that I had just knew nothing about were Avramovic and Petrusev, and then for Germany it's Obst and I think Voigtman, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like these are 2 players that I've never heard
Yeah.
connected to the NBA. Never players that are maybe prospects that teams are looking out for. Like there's been a lot of guys recently in the out of Europe that have come to the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Kind of randomly in the mid to late 20s to play a couple years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, you got your Pablo Prigioni, your Vezenkovs, all these guys, right? These are guys that were never talked about in even in that like a tier of player, but you
Of
watch them
course.
play in these international settings, and you're like,
They're
holy
showing
shit,
out.
these guys can hoop.
Yeah. Like for these guys, it's so important to participate in these tournaments, and it just shows different types of like basketball that is played everywhere. Like, I feel like I don't think there's two teams this tournament that have had like super close brands of basketball unlike the NBA. I feel like 25 teams in the NBA play the same basketball, and it gets kind of mundane after a bit. It's just very nice to see different philosophies, be it risky or be it a little more sloppy, but seeing those different basketball ideologies come to play and see which ones actually work is very interesting. Like I can definitely see these tournaments also like influencing leagues like the NBA and how it's played. because it works, honestly.
I mean, then also like coaching influence, right? It
Yeah.
kind of goes both ways. But like for example, you look at Spain's coach. Um, oh, I forget his name, but he was
Sergio
a rap
Scariolo.
Scaiolo. Yeah, he
Yeah.
was a Raptors assistant at some point,
Mm-hmm.
right? He was interviewed again for the head coaching job. Um, that if you look at even what he's doing, he's borrowing some concepts from the NBA. But then if you look at who he's borrowing from, it's a lot of Nick Nurse's stuff that he took from Europe.
Yeah.
Um, so these are things that I think like you know more and more you're gonna see things borrowed from one side to the other. I saw a lot of box and one from Spain. That was interesting. Shout out Nick Nurse forever for that.
Nicky Nurse ball, terrorism ball,
Nicky
right there.
Nurse, baby.
Oh, that's
But yeah, man,
hilarious.
I'm really excited for these quarterfinals. Semifinals are gonna be on Thursday. Medal matches are
Mm-hmm.
gonna be on Saturday. So, um, yeah, I will not be doing a watch along on the channel for the match tomorrow.
Yeah.
Um, I'm headed out to the Hello and Welcome pod watch party for Canada,
Hell yeah.
France, and then I don't know what we're going to be doing for the Thursday matchup, but yeah, there will be no watch along here tomorrow, people. Hopefully, we'll be back on Thursday. Hopefully, there
Hey.
is a watch along on Thursday
Yes,
because there
sir.
is a match because Canada advanced. Um, it'd be really depressing if they lose when I'm not doing a watch along because I'm gonna feel responsible. I'm gonna feel so
Nah, bro,
responsible.
don't feel that guilt. Yo,
100%.
one thing though.
Yeah.
Group stage MVP. And I need awards. I need awards. Who is your
Oh,
group stage MVP?
can we be big up Joel?
Yo, what's up, Joel?
Can we be what's it called? I feel like the homer pick has to be RJ Barrett cuz isn't he not leading scorer, but wasn't he close to leading scorer for like after 2 games he was.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, I was about to say, let's talk about RJ Barrett. This is the best thing I've ever seen from him. Honestly, I'm happy.
Yo, his thing RJ Barrett is definitely something that like me particularly like me the person I've had a crazy experience just watching him play basketball for the last year, right? Because I always
Yeah,
saw him play for the Knicks, and I'm like, this is a weird skill set, right?
yeah.
And then I watched him play for Canada last year in the FIBA, and I'm like, holy shit, this guy's playing awesome for Canada. Like, I don't know if it
Mm-hmm.
obviously like that was my first real experience watching international ball, and like I'm
Yeah.
starting to get a feel for how the game is different. Um, and yeah, oh shit, Knicks fans used to call him Star J Barrett. Oh, that's
Yeah, yeah,
crazy.
Star J. Yeah, the Duke
Star
of
J. I feel
York.
like people are starting to steal that, but like I watched him play for Canada, and I'm like, all right, this is guy can actually like definitely play international ball. I
Mm-hmm.
just assumed maybe he's a shit guy in the NBA. Um, but he gets traded to the Raptors. His shooting percentage just skyrockets after getting traded. He
He's
looks
an
like
actual ball player.
somebody who can score a little bit in the NBA in a Raptors uniform, and again in the Olympics, he's putting up numbers again. And it's like when he puts on a Canadian jersey or a Canadian NBA team's jersey, does he become a different version of himself?
Maple Mamba. I don't know.
He might be Maple Mamba. The problem is there might not have been enough Maple when he was playing on the Knicks. That
Yeah,
may
that's
have been the
true.
problem. They
Not like
needed to put some maple syrup all over his jersey. I think that's what was missing.
from what he said, that man is fueled by osmos. I think that's y'all's
Yep,
chain
Osmos
there.
and Demetrius. So that's
He's fueled by that.
fuck. It's so funny too because RJ Barrett's from a part of the GTA called Mississauga.
Okay.
Mississauga is the part of the GTA where I did my undergrad. So the thing is too is like Dimitri's is like this dessert spot that just
Okay.
like it randomly got big out of nowhere. People just started talking about it out of nowhere, and it's like desserts that are like they're good, right? But the whole thing is like they're elaborate. Like, yo, we're gonna get you a piece of cake, but also we're gonna put a little bit of ice cream on it, a bunch of whipped cream on it,
Oh,
we're gonna drizzle something on it. Like they had like these gourmet desserts, right? And it just got big out of nowhere. But the thing is like it came and went. So it's like when he's talked about like, oh, I like going to Dimitri's, it's like, yo, I haven't heard anyone talk about that for 5 years. But that's such a like local thing to talk about. And then
of
with
course.
Osmos too, Osmos is a very local like there's now Osmos in Vancouver. Osmos is a very local Middle Eastern shawarma place. So he's
Okay.
literally just like it's just he might be the Canadian Kawhi Leonard in terms of like that guy just wants to be home.
Yeah, you wanted to be home.
Nothing matters to him except being home. Because now all of a sudden, obviously, you got the Raptors uniform, the
Yep.
Canadian uniform. It's bringing a different game out of him. He's talking about the home cooking.
Oof.
It's really really crazy.
Yeah.
Goes to Gerulitis says the U.S. isn't losing anything. I mean,
Most
it
likely.
sure looks that way, but also
Most likely.
If the U.S. does lose anything, it's not going to be because of anybody else. It'll be because of them.
Absolutely.
It'll be
It's
because
up to them.
it'll be because they gave it up. So that's the deal with the U.S.
Absolutely. Can we talk
They'll
about
be
how
playing
RJ Barrett
Serbia.
is only 24?
Oh yeah, but I mean that's the thing. The thing, one of RJ's problems when it comes from a PR standpoint is that because people have been talking about him since Montverde Academy
Mm-hmm.
in high school, he's been on the scene for a long time, and because he's
Absolutely.
been on the scene for a long time, I think people kind of just assume he's older than he actually is.
Mm-hmm.
But no, he's young. He's 24. I mean, like he's younger than Gary Trent Jr. Like there's a
So
bunch of
that's all
players
I
that
gotta
like
say.
there's a bunch of players around him, even on the Canadian team, that like you just wouldn't expect him to be younger than, but he is.
Yeah.
So, man, hopefully he continues to get better. I think his it's the playmaking and the passing that needs to probably get better for
Yeah,
him
the
to be on the
defense as well.
Raptors and be making as much of an impact because it feels like for Canada, bro, he's the one getting past two. Like he doesn't really have to pass like that.
He's
He's
crashing the glass like crazy too.
catching and shooting in the corner, he's letting it
Mm-hmm.
go. He's driving to the rim, and it makes sense. Like it doesn't make sense for him to drive and kick. He should just drive and score, right, or get fouled,
Yeah.
hitting the offensive glass, right? Like in the NBA, I feel like he needs to be more of a passer, especially with how they call like charges and stuff, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Um, but yeah, just in FIBA, bro, it's sensational. I think he's like, do they hand out MVPs?
I think that, I mean, in any tournament, I think. Well, I don't know. I don't know if in this tournament they do hand out the player of the tournament. I don't remember. I know everyone gets a medal, but I think maybe. I think maybe they do
That'd be
hand out player
insane.
of the
If he
tournament.
gets player of the tournament, that'd be insane. Now that being said, it probably is gonna be Shea, like if
Yeah.
Canada wins. Especially considering that it'll be a tournament wide award and like in the knockout rounds, I expect it's Shea's gonna have a big role. But
Yeah, that's true.
yeah, man. Where is it? Where is it? Star J Barrett.
Yes, RJ,
That's
the
that's a
Duke.
crazy nickname
Yeah,
for
they used to
sure.
call him the Duke of York.
The Duke of York.
He ain't in New York anymore. We got you.
Not in New York at all.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, he's in Paris right now, hooping for Canada. Like we said, people. The quarterfinals seem pretty predictable. The semifinals are going to be where it's at. I pray for no upsets too. That's the other thing. I don't want to like. I don't want. Obviously, I don't want to see France, but I don't want to see Australia in the semis either. Give
That
us
wouldn't
the
be box
best four
office.
teams and let's get to it. Give me
I
USA,
agree. I
Serbia.
agree.
Give me Germany and Canada, and let's get to it. But I don't want to see Australia.
I
I
want the
want to see
bloodbath.
Greece. No, I appreciate you guys, but go home.
Nah, absolutely. I just feel like, look, man, we've been waiting for this for 4 years. We want to be entertained. I feel like a lot of these teams are at their peak right now, so like, why isn't their momentum here? You know?
You really thought Serbia was going to choke it against South Sudan? I think. Whoa, I saw that it was what like a 6 point game in the second half, but honestly, like I didn't watch it, so maybe I didn't get to see why you felt that way. But I was just felt like, nah, they'll
Yeah.
figure this out.
Yeah, just I mean, South Sudan did have a lot of momentum carrying too, so it wasn't crazy to think that they might steal a game from Serbia.
Yeah,
But yeah, they did fall flat on their face, honestly.
but yeah, that's what it is, people. Semifinals
Hmm.
should be a really exciting time.
Ooh,
We'll definitely get back on the channel tomorrow or the day after to talk about those matchups. Like I said, people, no watch along tomorrow. Hopefully, a watch along on Thursday. Um,
absolutely.
and enjoy the games, people. We're going to be on our way out. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel on your way out. So South Sudan cut a 15-point lead to 6 in the final 2 minutes. Oh, say
Ooh.
word, it was in the last 2 minutes. See, that would have been a depressing collapse for Serbia, though.
Oh yeah, for sure. I
I,
mean,
di- I didn't know it
yeah, I
was
didn't
like
see
that at
that
the end of the
game.
game. I kind of assumed that they cut the lead in like earlier in the second half.
Yeah, I think that's why it was so safe to assume Sudan could do it.
I mean, we'll see. Other thing that pissed me off. I was looking up the next FIBA, like, or just like how that works, because to be honest, I just wasn't familiar. Next FIBA is in 2027, and then obviously Olympics 2028. So
Uh-huh.
like we got no real good international hoops after this until
Nah,
2027. That shit is
2 years of nothing.
depressing.
Yep. We're gonna have to
Wait,
wait.
hold up. Would they have qualified at 1 and 2? Oh, maybe they would have been a third place team, but they probably would have got a
Yeah,
shitter matchup, like a
absolutely.
significant. Imagine if they had to play like
USA at
they
first.
can't play US, but imagine if they had to play Germany or Canada.
Yeah, that would have been. I think they got best case scenario, honestly.
So that was my real concern with Canada, right?
Yeah.
The side effect of having to be in the group of death was basically there was no chance they could avoid there wasn't a guarantee they could avoid the US until the gold medal match. They had to
Yeah.
get lucky and get drawn into Germany's side of the bracket because basically Germany and the US finished 1 and 2. They were guaranteed to be on the opposite sides of the bracket, but Canada had to get one of Germany or the US. It could have been the US, and that could have pissed me the fuck off. Um,
That's true.
but
That would
fortunately,
have
it
been
didn't
terrible.
happen. Fortunately, they got drawn into the German side. And like I said, right, I understand you can't duck the US for the whole tournament if you want to win gold, but I'd much rather that matchup be for gold.
Yeah,
Um,
I think also it would be kind of iconic USA versus Canada for the gold. That would be crazy. I'm
so
not gonna
that
lie.
would be a movie for sure, right? But you know what it is too is if we see them in the semis, let's say, right, and they knock us into the bronze medal match, a bronze medal match against Germany or Serbia would
That'd
be
be
just
insane too.
straight panic.
Yeah.
Straight panic to watch, bro. The idea of going medalless in this tournament
No,
would be crazy.
that would be such a fall from grace.
Yep, it would be such a fall from grace. And honestly, those two teams, their chances of upsetting Canada are real. So, um, some would make an argument that Germany should be favorites too. You know, like that argument would be made. So, like I said, that's the happiest thing for me is that at least we have a very good chance of getting to the gold medal match to where if you lose that game, it is what it is.
Yeah.
That's the US.
Yeah, you get the medal. Yeah, like but again, it is the most likely scenario. I think again, like yeah, you do have something to lose, but your team is so good. I think you just gotta believe.
Bro, it just sometimes they test you. Sometimes they test you. I've
I
seen
get it. I
some
get it. Those
I've
games
seen
can
some
get uncomfy.
insane stuff happen defensively.
Yeah, now them games can get uncomfy, but I trust. I trust in the facility that Team Canada is like.
I also trust in Jordy.
Of course, exactly. You guys have such a good staff, such a deep staff that I don't know. I don't think this boat will sink so easily. I think it would be absolutely catastrophic to see everything just fail like consecutively in a game. That would be insane.
You know what else would be wild too? If fuck, I lost my train of thought. Damn, I was excited as hell too.
Come on, man, spit it out, man.
Nah, man, I lost it. I lost
Oh
it.
shit. What
Damn.
was it? Was it about Jordy or was it like?
Oh, yes, it was about Jordy. So this is the thing, right? Jordy's about to go to Brooklyn and do a good 2 years of losing, bro.
Oh my god. Yeah,
A good
he needs
two.
something. He needs something. He needs
Get
something.
him a silver so that he can rock his silver while
Mm-hmm.
coaching the Nets. And when he goes on that first 10-game losing streak, he can look
He'll
down
be
at his
fine.
medal and be like, bro, at the end of the day, I can still go to the OVO Center and coach
Oh,
up some
chill.
talent in the summer.
Exactly. Yeah, cause like again, like these camps are every year. Like yeah, you don't get international tournaments, but you still do get to be in touch with the players and still do roster moves. So he'll be fine. He'll have a winning team somewhere.
100%. Yo, Joel, this is real. They need to give Noah Lyles the Drake seats like right beside the bench.
That's real.
Right beside the bench. He needs to pull up with his golds and he
Just
needs to be like, you know what?
just so they hear him clanking. Like well, every time he gets up to get popcorn, they just clink 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 clink.
Yep. Yep. And
No,
go with
that'd
his
be
nails painted and everything, bro. Piss
yeah, that'd be
everybody off.
hilarious. That'd be hilarious.
Piss
Nah, shout out Noah Lyles.
everybody off.
Like while everybody was hate watching, I was plotting. I was rooting for him. Man, like that period between him losing the semifinal like to the final was terrible because Twitter was just like on his ass.
Yeah.
Oof. Yeah, that was an interesting hate watch yesterday. I'm glad everything ended the way it did.
Nah, me too for sure. And like especially with how close it is, like that picture is gonna be on every coach in sports is gonna have that
Yeah,
picture
it's like
posted
effort, effort,
on a
effort.
PowerPoint presentation at the beginning of like a training camp to tell their players
Yeah.
that it's all in the details, because this is the margins between greatness and irrelevance.
Yeah.
Is you already know this speech is gonna write itself.
Nah, yeah, for sure. I think it's one of those like they're gonna like plaster the Nike logo, the "Just Do It" thing all over, like
Oh, 100%, 100%.
something like that, probably.
But yeah, shit. I mean, that's really the story of the Olympics and sports in general, man. Like everyone thought Jamaica won at first. Yeah, I heard that as well. I didn't get a chance to watch it live, but I heard that people thought that the Jamaican sprinter won.
Oh yeah, yeah, but like yeah, the rules never changed. Like Noah had the like I thought he lost at first, but then like I saw the rules and I was like, oh, that was still close though. They were like I think Noah won by like
Five,
5 thousandths of a second.
yeah,
I think it
five
was.
thousandths of a second.
That's insanity. Track and field is crazy, honestly.
Track and field is crazy. Yeah, I wonder if you were to be there live, standing on the finish line, right? Could
Oof.
you tell in real time?
I thought he lost on TV. I don't know if I would have. I don't think I could have seen that, honestly. I would have thought
That's what
the
I'm saying.
break
In
won.
real
Yeah.
time, with it right in front of your eyes, I feel like you still wouldn't be able to tell. Like I would just be like, "Damn, bro, they tied."
Yeah. No, yeah, I don't know. Thank God we got cameras and everything. I don't know how they did that back then when they didn't have that tech.
Oh,
Cause
they 100% were just getting it wrong.
yeah,
Like
they were just eyeing it out. They were like, "Yep, I mean, that's what I saw." I don't know about you,
this is what I felt. This is how what I think happened. You can't dispute it if I'm wrong.
but yeah,
Everybody go home.
I'm glad we have our tech because NBA Twitter lives to see Noah Lyles win, and that makes me happy.
It's a beautiful thing, man. It's a beautiful thing. Like I said, the way people are gonna crash on this American team if they lose, if they don't get gold, is gonna be insane.
Yeah, nah, that's real.
But yeah, that's that, people. We got the semifinals to be excited about. Before I leave, another reminder: no watch along tomorrow for Canada France. I'm headed to a watch party to watch that game. Hopefully, there will be a watch along on Thursday, but keep your eyes peeled for that. Make sure you subscribe to the channel to make sure you don't miss out on when we go live. Make sure you hit the like button on your way out. Like I said, we talked quarterfinals today. We will be back to talk about the semifinals at some point, and then obviously talk about the medal matches at some point before Saturday. But yeah, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. We're out. Enjoy your Monday.